Before the dawn of time, before the stars were born, and before the first breath of life filled the earth, what existed? Was it truly nothing? A perfect void, untouched, unshaped, silent. For centuries, we've been told a simple story, that the universe began with a word, a command from God that shattered the silence, bringing light into the darkness. But what if that story only scratches the surface? What if, hidden beneath the familiar tale, there's a deeper, more complex truth? Imagine a time before time itself, a place where the raw forces of chaos churned, restless and wild. A place not of peaceful nothingness, but of untamed energy, a tempest waiting to be shaped. In ancient myths from civilizations long gone, we find traces of this forgotten chaos, a force that predates the order of creation. In the Bible, we read of a God who hovered over the waters. But where did those waters come from? The story doesn't say. The truth, it seems, is hidden in the shadows, just beyond the edge of the story we know. Tonight, we journey into those shadows. We'll explore the forgotten origins of creation, from the depths of ancient Babylonian myths to the mysteries of Gnostic teachings and the revelations of modern science. Together, we'll unravel the cosmic struggle between order and chaos, a battle that stretches across time and space, a battle that might not be over yet. Are you ready to question everything you thought you knew? Then come with me, back to the very beginning, before the light, before the earth, before the story as we know it. Because what lies beyond the pages of Genesis could change how we see the universe forever. What was there before the beginning? Before the familiar story of Genesis opens with, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," what really existed? For centuries, we've been taught that before God uttered the words, "Let there be light," there was only nothingness. No time, no space, no matter, just a vast, empty void. But this idea of a total void has always left a lingering question. Is that truly what was there? Was it really nothing? When you think about the vastness of the cosmos and the intricate nature of existence, the idea of absolute nothingness feels too simplistic. And that's where the story takes a turn. Across cultures and centuries, we've found ancient myths that challenge the very notion of a blank, empty void before creation. In fact, many ancient peoples believed that something existed before God began his creation. Not a peaceful emptiness, but chaos, wild, untamed, primal forces that roiled and raged before anything resembling order was ever brought into being. We find echoes of this idea in one of the world's oldest known creation stories, the Enuma Elish from ancient Babylon. In this myth, before anything was created, there weren't just empty skies and quiet stillness. There were two powerful primordial gods, Apsu, the god of fresh water, and Tiamat, the goddess of salt water. Their very beings were the embodiment of chaos, a swirling, stormy mix of energies that defied any sense of order or tranquility. What's fascinating is that creation in this story didn't come from nothing, but from these chaotic waters. The universe wasn't born from a quiet, peaceful void, but from a primal battle between these forces, with the eventual creation being shaped by Marduk, the hero god who tamed the chaos. This idea of creation emerging from chaos, not nothingness, suggests that perhaps the universe has always been alive with energy, waiting to be shaped. Could it be that our understanding of creation as a peaceful event is a misreading of the deeper truth? Now let's turn our attention to the Bible, to Genesis. We're all familiar with the story. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. But there's something curious here. Right after these opening lines, we read, "And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Wait a moment, waters? Where did they come from? The Bible doesn't explain. It doesn't tell us how or why these waters were already present before God's creative act began. It's as if we've arrived in the middle of the story with the chaotic waters already there, just waiting for something or someone to give them shape and meaning. This idea of God bringing order to the waters of chaos instead of creating something from nothing is an intriguing parallel to the Enuma Elish. It suggests that God's role in Genesis might not have been the creation of the universe from an absolute void, but rather the imposition of order upon something that already existed. an ancient, untamed chaos. If we look closely at Genesis 1 verse 2, we see this concept reflected. The Hebrew word for the deep Tiham is related to the Akkadian word Tiamat, the same Tiamat from the Enuma Elish, the goddess of chaos. Could it be that the story of Genesis is subtly echoing this older myth? Instead of God creating a peaceful, orderly universe from a perfect void, is he perhaps wrestling with chaos, shaping and taming it to bring forth light, land, and life? It's a thought that changes the way we understand the beginning. Instead of seeing it as a serene, divine act of will, it becomes something more dynamic, an ongoing battle between order and chaos, with creation emerging from the struggle. But the story doesn't stop there. In fact, it gets even more complicated. Beyond the Bible's narrative, there are ancient texts that offer a radically different view of creation. These texts, banned and hidden by the early church, belong to the Gnostics, a group of early Christians who believed in a far more complex cosmology. Their version of creation turns everything we've been taught upside down. According to Gnostic belief, Yahweh, the God of the Bible, wasn't the ultimate creator. Instead, they spoke of the monad, the ultimate source of all existence, and Sophia, the embodiment of wisdom. Yahweh, they said, was merely a demiurge, a lower being who shaped the physical world, but wasn't the true divine power. In this view, the physical world wasn't created out of perfect divine will, but was the result of a flawed being's attempt to create. The Gnostics believed that the true divine realm was far beyond Yahweh's reach. The monad was the source of all things, and Sophia's attempt to understand the monad resulted in the creation of Yahweh. Yahweh, in his ignorance, believed himself to be the only God and created the material world. But this world, in the Gnostic view, was flawed, filled with suffering, imperfection, and limitation. It was a reflection of Yahweh's own limitations. This idea that the material world is not the product of a perfect creator, but of a flawed, lower being, is one of the most radical aspects of Gnostic thought. It suggests that the suffering and imperfection we experience in the world are not accidents or tests of faith, but intrinsic to the very nature of creation itself. The world, they believed, was not the work of a loving, all-powerful God, but of a demiurge who didn't fully understand what he was doing. Could it be, then, that Genesis is not the true beginning of all things, but just one chapter in a much larger and more complex cosmic story? Could Yahweh himself be part of a deeper, hidden narrative, a being who shaped the physical world, but wasn't the original creator? The Gnostics believed that beyond this flawed world lay a greater truth, and that through knowledge, gnosis, humans could transcend the material realm and return to the divine source. Even today, modern science offers us glimpses into the mysteries of creation that align with these ancient ideas. Take the Big Bang, for example. It's the most widely accepted scientific explanation for the origin of the universe. According to this theory, the universe began as an infinitely small, infinitely hot point, what physicists call a singularity. About 13.8 billion years ago, this singularity exploded in an event we call the Big Bang, creating all the matter, energy, and space that make up the universe. But here's where things get really interesting. Stephen Hawking and other physicists have argued that before the Big Bang, there wasn't nothing. Instead, they suggest that there was a quantum vacuum, a sea of potential energy, a chaotic field that existed before time and space as we understand them. Once again, we encounter the idea that before creation, there wasn't an empty void, but something far more chaotic and full of possibility. This quantum vacuum, they say, wasn't truly nothing. It was a realm of untapped energy, brimming with potential, waiting for something to happen. And when the Big Bang occurred, this energy exploded into the universe, giving birth to everything we know. In this sense, modern physics echoes the ancient myths of chaos and creation. Instead of an absolute void, we have a chaotic sea of potential energy, waiting to be shaped into something new. Now let's move to another key moment in the Bible's creation story, the creation of Adam. We've all been taught that Adam was the first human, the beginning of the human race. According to Genesis, God created Adam from the dust of the earth, breathed life into him, and from him, all humanity descends. But could Adam have been part of a larger story? What if Adam wasn't the first human, but only the first in this particular narrative? The Bible tells us that Adam was created around 6,000 years ago. Yet, modern science has shown that human-like beings have been walking the earth for hundreds of thousands of years. Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, all of these species existed long before the biblical timeline suggests. The story of Adam, then, might be a specific account of one group of people, rather than the origin of all humanity. And there are even ancient myths that suggest the existence of other beings before Adam. One such story is the tale of Lilith, a figure who doesn't appear in the canonical Bible but is well known in Jewish mysticism. According to the alphabet of Ben Sira, Lilith was Adam's first wife, created from the same earth as him. But Lilith refused to be subservient to Adam. She wanted to be his equal, and when he wouldn't accept that, she left the Garden of Eden, choosing independence over obedience. The story of Lilith suggests that the creation of humanity is more complex than we've been led to believe. If Lilith existed before Eve, then who else might have existed before Adam? Some theories suggest that before Adam, there were other beings who lived and thrived long before the biblical timeline begins. This idea is sometimes called the pre-Adamite hypothesis. It suggests that humanity has a far deeper history than the Bible reveals, with entire civilizations rising and falling before Adam ever walked the earth. And when we look at the fossil record, we find evidence to support this. Fossils of early humans and human-like creatures, some dating back hundreds of thousands of years, have been discovered all over the world. These beings were not primitive either. They created art, built tools, and formed complex societies. Could it be that these ancient humans represent a forgotten chapter in the story of creation, one that predates Adam? And here's where things get even more controversial. Some scholars and researchers have proposed that these ancient humans may have been influenced by extraterrestrial beings. This theory, often dismissed by mainstream academia, suggests that early humans might have been visited or even guided by beings from other worlds. When we look at the advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and architecture possessed by ancient civilizations like the Sumerians, the Egyptians, and the Maya, it raises intriguing questions. How did these early peoples acquire such sophisticated knowledge? Could they have been taught by someone or something not of this world? This theory, known as the ancient astronaut theory, suggests that extraterrestrial beings may have played a role in shaping early human civilizations. Proponents of this theory point to structures like the pyramids of Egypt, the stone cities of the Maya, and the astronomical knowledge encoded in ancient Sumerian texts as evidence of contact with advanced civilizations from beyond our planet. Could these beings have been part of the larger story of creation? If the pre-Adamite hypothesis is correct, and there were advanced civilizations on Earth long before Adam, then it's not such a stretch to imagine that these early peoples might have had contact with beings from other worlds. But whether or not these ancient humans were influenced by extraterrestrial beings, one thing remains clear: the story of creation is not a peaceful one. Across many ancient cultures, the act of creation wasn't a calm, orderly process. Instead, it was often violent and chaotic, a struggle between opposing forces. In the Enuma Elish, Marduk doesn't create the universe through peaceful means. He must first defeat Tiamat, the goddess of chaos, in a brutal battle. Only after her defeat can he begin the process of creating the heavens and the earth. This theme of creation through conflict is echoed in many other ancient myths. In Greek mythology, before the Olympian gods could rule the universe, they had to overthrow the Titans, an older race of gods who embodied the primal forces of nature. Zeus and his siblings waged a brutal war against the Titans, eventually defeating them and establishing their rule. Creation, in this view, isn't a peaceful act, but a violent struggle for control over the forces of chaos. Even in the Bible, we find echoes of this idea. In Isaiah, Yahweh is described as defeating the sea serpent Leviathan, a creature of chaos. And in the book of Revelation, when the new heaven and new earth are created, it is said that there will be no more sea. The sea, in ancient times, was often seen as a symbol of chaos, unpredictable, untamable, and dangerous. By removing the sea, The final act of creation in Revelation is about the ultimate triumph over chaos. In many ways, this ancient idea of creation through conflict is reflected in modern science. Physicists talk about entropy, the natural tendency of all systems to move toward disorder and chaos. The universe, it seems, is constantly fighting against this pull toward chaos. Stars are born from collapsing gas clouds, but eventually they explode in supernovae, scattering chaos back into the cosmos. Even the formation of life itself can be seen as a struggle against entropy. Life is an ordered system, constantly fighting to maintain its structure in the face of the universe's natural tendency toward disorder. In this sense, creation, whether it's the creation of the universe, the birth of a star, or the emergence of life, is always a battle against chaos, but chaos never goes away. It's always there, lurking at the edges of reality, waiting for its chance to rise again. And that's where the story of creation becomes even more profound. It's not just about the beginning of the world, it's about the ongoing struggle to maintain order in a universe that is constantly trying to fall apart. In the end, the story of creation is not just about the past, it's about the present and the future. Across cultures and throughout history, the story of creation has always been about a battle between order and chaos. In the Bible, in the Enuma Elish, in Greek mythology, and in modern science, we find the same theme. Creation isn't a peaceful act. It's a struggle, a battle to bring order out of chaos, and this battle isn't over. Even now, the universe is still fighting against the forces of chaos. Stars are still being born, planets are still forming, and life is still emerging. The story of creation is ongoing, and the struggle between order and chaos will continue as long as the universe exists. Perhaps that's the deeper truth behind all of these creation myths. They're not just about the beginning of the world, they're about the ongoing process of creation. The universe isn't a finished product. It's a work in progress, constantly evolving, constantly fighting to maintain order in the face of chaos. And in that sense, the story of creation is not just the story of the gods or the universe. It's our story, too. We are part of this ongoing battle. Every act of creation, every attempt to bring order into our lives, is part of this larger cosmic struggle. We are all creators, fighting to bring meaning and order into a chaotic world. Perhaps the next time we think about the beginning of the world, we shouldn't just think of it as a single event in the distant past. Instead, we should see it as an ongoing process, one that we are all part of. The battle between order and chaos is happening all around us all the time. And in that battle, we are not just observers, we are participants. And so, we come to the end of this journey, or is it the beginning? As we've seen, creation isn't a single, simple act. It's a cosmic dance between chaos and order, a battle waged across time and space, with each new beginning born from the remnants of what came before. From the swirling waters of ancient Babylon to the pages of Genesis, from the hidden teachings of the Gnostics to the revelations of modern science, we've glimpsed the vastness of a story far greater than we ever imagined. But here's the truth. The story doesn't end here. The universe is still unfolding, still evolving, and so are we. Creation is not a finished work. It's a process, an ongoing act of shaping and reshaping, just as we continue to shape and reshape our own lives. The mysteries we've uncovered tonight are just the beginning. There are still deeper questions to ask, greater truths to discover, and more hidden layers waiting to be revealed. If this journey has stirred something within you, if you feel the pull of curiosity, the thrill of seeking answers to the questions that lie beyond the known, then stay with us. There is so much more to explore. The universe is filled with untold stories, forgotten myths, and profound truths that challenge everything we think we know. This is just the start of a journey into the unknown, a quest to uncover the secrets of the cosmos and, perhaps, the secrets within ourselves. So, don't stop here. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and join us on this path of discovery. Together, we'll continue to unravel the mysteries of existence, one story at a time, because the story of creation isn't over and neither is ours.